Hello everyone. Today let's understand the natural history of disease. Also we'll be learning the concept of screening time and lead time. So before we start, this question was previously asked in INI-CT, so making it a potential repeat. So one of these points was asked, and it was asked to identify what event takes place. Now let's understand this. There is no need to mug up. If we understand, we'll remember it better. So this is how a disease proceeds. Initially there is stage of susceptibility, or where the risk factors are present, followed by the stage of subclinical disease. Now subclinical disease will occur if the person is exposed to the pathogens. Then subclinical disease proceeds to clinical disease. Now a subclinical disease versus clinical disease is differentiated by the onset of signs and symptoms. So if I remember correctly, this was the point which was asked to identify that what event occurs. Okay, so in a clinical disease, a disease is said to be clinical when the signs and symptoms are present. Also, before the clinical disease starts, there is changes of pathological changes which are seen. Okay, so this point signifies the pathological changes. After a particular time of signs and symptoms, then the person will go to the hospital, get investigated. So this point suggests the usual time of diagnosis. And then after the clinical disease, the outcomes can be recovery, disability, or death. Now let's come to the concept of screening time and lead time. Now between the disease onset and the outcome, the diagnosis can be of three types. There is the first possible time of diagnosis, the critical time of diagnosis, and the usual time of diagnosis. Now not to get confused between the critical time of diagnosis and the usual time of diagnosis, because usual time of diagnosis is closer to the outcome, and critical time of diagnosis is just before the usual time of diagnosis. Now the point between A and B, that is first possible time of diagnosis and critical time of diagnosis, is screening time. And the time between first possible time of diagnosis and usual time of diagnosis is lead time. Now the trick to remember this is, now both these times they start from the first possible time of diagnosis. Only the end point is different. It can be the critical time or the usual time. So when it is critical time, that is point between the first possible time of diagnosis and critical time of diagnosis, it is the screening time. Okay, so C, screening time. And other way around, between the first possible time of diagnosis and the usual. Now in usual, L is present. In critical also L is present, but don't go according to it. Consider this C. And the usual, which comes at an end, is the lead time. Okay, so this is the concept, and a good investigation will have a longer lead time and a shorter screening time. This is basically symmetrical. Okay, L longer lead time, S shorter screen time. Thank you.